Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk a little bit more about troubleshooting piercing bumps and what to do when your piercing is just not healing right. Now I see this happen time and time again all over the internet, on Facebook, on Reddit, on TikTok. Someone posts literally any content related about body piercings and someone is in the comments saying, "Hey, I have this bump on my piercing, I don't know what to do, can you help me?" And without fail, there's always dozens of responses in the comments, ranging from go see your piercer to make sure you have good jewelry to put tea tree oil and toothpaste and cabbage on your piercing. No, I'm not kidding about that. I've seen some stuff. I wish I was kidding about that. And honestly, a lot of times these comments are well-meaning. Someone is giving advice that could be considered good for dealing with a bump, like getting better quality jewelry or using saline to keep it clean. Or people are just saying things that worked for them when they had their bump. And a lot of people leaving these comments are very well-intentioned too. They have something that's going on with their piercing. They don't understand what's wrong with it, but they see someone who's posting about piercings who might be knowledgeable about it, and they're looking for help. They want to figure out how to make their piercing heal. These are all very well-intentioned actions. But unfortunately, well-intentioned or not, they tend to do more harm than good. See, in body piercing, troubleshooting is a key element in fixing a piercing bump. And troubleshooting, if you're not familiar, is the process of figuring out the root cause of an irritation or a bump or an issue with the healing process on a piercing in order to get it back on track with healing. And that's because bumps are not one size fits all. If someone gets a bump on their body piercing, it doesn't automatically mean that they need better jewelry or different jewelry. It doesn't automatically mean that they're cleaning it with the wrong stuff. There's hundreds and thousands of different things that can cause your piercing to get bumps or have irritations and have problems healing. And unless you know the thing that's causing your problem, you're not going to be able to allow it to get better. And that's where troubleshooting plays such an important role. But troubleshooting can't really be done well through comments, especially not on places like TikTok and Reddit. Troubleshooting requires photographs and one-on-one interaction and questions and answers from the person to determine what's going on. Without those photos, without that back and forth, without really visually inspecting the piercing and seeing what's going on, no one in the comments can help you. I don't care how educated they sound. I don't care how in-depth their response is. I don't care how good you think their advice is. If they're not working with you and checking what's going on with your piercing, they can't help you. And I've got a really good example of this here today. So let's say you're on the internet and someone comments, "Hey, I've got this bump on my nose piercing. It's red, it looks kind of bad, I don't know what to do, can you help me?" I see that posted all the time everywhere, and people are always rushing to give suggestions and advice. Well, if your first instinct is to comment and to tell them anything, you'd be wrong, because we don't know what kind of bump that they could mean. So I've gotten messages like this dozens of times from clients, and here are 3 different photographs that I have been sent from someone saying they have a bump on their nostril piercing and they don't know what to do about it. On the left, we have this very large irritation bump, very big and angry. In the middle, we have a moderate irritation bump. It's not awful, but it's definitely still there. It's definitely still causing problems. And on the right, we have a very, very mild irritation. If you didn't have a trained eye, you probably wouldn't be able to spot where this was going on. But all 3 of these clients reached out to me and said, "Hey, I have this bump on my piercing. I don't know what to do with it. Can you help me? It's red and it looks kind of bad." But see, just someone typing out, "Hey, I have this bump on my piercing, it's red and it looks kind of bad," doesn't tell us anything about the full story of what's going on with their piercing. In this image, this bump is caused by a hoop being put in way too soon, and that's way too small. That has no room for swelling and healing. And we can tell that's the case because we can see how this irritation is following the curvature of the hoop. And we can even see some early signs of migration where this hoop was just way, way too small and was put in way too soon on a healing piercing and is now dragging through that piercing. So you could suggest to this person to change their aftercare till you're blue in the face or put stuff on this, and it's never going to get better because it's caused by the hoop. And honestly, at this point, this piercing is probably not salvageable. At this point, with irritation this severe and migration already occurring, the angle of this piercing has probably already changed. Unfortunately, the answer for this client is probably going to be removal. If they wanted to try with a stud for a little bit, they could, but I don't know that that's going to help it. I think they're probably just going to end up having to take this out and get it re-pierced. In the middle, we have this irritation that's not quite as severe as that first one, but it's still pretty bad. And this one is a combination of jewelry and angle. The angle on this piercing wasn't quite perfect, but the jewelry, I can also tell from looking at it, is low quality. So the solution on this one was for the client to find a more reputable piercer, get some quality implant grade titanium in there, and really baby and monitor it. The angle wasn't quite off enough that it had to be pulled, but it was off enough that it was going to cause some complications for the rest of the healing process, even with better quality jewelry. But a lot of times, as long as the angle is off minorly, if a client isn't bothered by it and it isn't going to majorly affect jewelry plans in the future, and they want to deal with healing that, we can salvage it, we can save it. It doesn't have to be a re-pierce. And then in this last one, it's actually even kind of hard to see. I'm going to circle it here, but there's just a tiny little bit of irritation along the front side of this. Now, this client is already wearing really great quality jewelry. They've got some neometal opals in there. They're anodized. It's good to go. Their care is on point. This irritation is from them snagging it really, really good, taking a sweater off. And that happens, you know, no one is perfect, no one lives in a bubble. You're gonna catch and snag your piercing, you're gonna bump it, your dog's gonna jump on you, your little brother's gonna hit you in the face with a pillow. There are unavoidable accidents that happen in life, but they still cause irritation to your piercing. The good news is in this instance, she just babied it and stayed really on top of care and cleaning for a couple of weeks, and it went away like it was never even there. But if she had just posted asking for advice online and no one had taken the time to get a picture and see what was going on, they might have told her stuff like tea tree oil or aspirin paste or apple cider vinegar. And she could have really seriously caused way more damage to this piercing than otherwise. On the flip side, in that first photo with the hoop where things were very irritated, if no one took the time to check in with this client and see exactly what was going on, this client would have been spending months putting saline and alcohol on their piercings, wondering why that bump wasn't getting any better, putting toothpaste and cabbage and everything the internet could ever tell them to try on that bump, and it wasn't ever going to get any better as long as they kept that ring in. In fact, it was just going to get worse, and if they had left that ring in for much longer, they would have been at risk of permanent scarring on their face. But unfortunately, I still see this happen all the time, even in forums and on pages that are full of piercing enthusiasts, piercing-based communities, piercing subreddits, piercing TikTok. People will post and say that they're having these problems with their piercings, and folks will just throw out suggestions without any other information about what's going on. And trust me, I know that it's well-intentioned to do this, that you're doing this because you want to help someone or because you tried something that worked for you and you want to pass along good advice. But in this circumstance, really the best answer you can give someone is to tell them to follow up with a piercer and have that piercer work with them to see what's going on. And for people who are looking for help with bumps on their piercings or having problems with them, I would be skeptical of anyone who tells you what to do to try and fix a bump or heal your piercing that doesn't also involve looking at pictures of your piercing or your piercing in person, asking you questions like, how old is it? What material jewelry are you wearing? How are you cleaning it? Lifestyle questions like, have you been sick? Has it been caught or snagged? Do you wear any clothing that could interfere with it? Things like that. And really taking the time to actually figure out what is going on to get to the bottom of what's causing your problems. And as an aside, if your piercer does this too, if you message your piercer and say, hey, I've got this bump on my piercing, I don't know what's going wrong, and they just go, oh, just put this thing on it, and they don't ask you for pictures, and they don't ask you questions, you probably need a new piercer. Sorry to burst your bubble. I wanted to make this video because it really bums me out to see people looking for piercing cures in comment sections, and I end up encountering so many clients who followed random advice from people on the internet because they swore up and down it worked for them. Even smart, well-meaning, educated clients who got advice that they thought sounded good online but just wasn't good for their situation. So I hope this video and these examples of the nostril piercings make it a little bit more clear why text is just not enough information about what's going on with a body piercing, and why you really need to be taking your time to get aftercare advice, especially for a piercing having problems, that's tailored to you and what's going on with your piercing. Piercings are not one size fits all, jewelry is not one size fits all, and aftercare isn't one size fits all either. You need aftercare and healing advice that's meant for you, for your body, for your piercing, and the situation that you're in. If you'd like to learn more about piercing troubleshooting, I have another video all about it on my page that I'll link in the comments section down below. And if you like this video and the content that I've been putting out, please hit like and subscribe. Would y'all like to see me do more stuff about like piercing healing problems, aftercare, bumps, that sort of thing? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'm sure we'll hang out again soon.